Some of you know, and I've bored you with some of these details in the past, but in the mid-90s, which is, 2 decades almost, I had a radio show for a couple years on Cairo, and it was a 3-hour talk show from 9 to noon. So, people would call in, we'd have guests, it was like this, it was a fun experience. Well, one of the things that was interesting is as the show, was kind of getting off the ground, we came up with this idea, kind of the marketing people, and they said, hey, let's have a listener party. So we decided that starting on this one particular day, we would invite the next 100 great callers to a party. And so it wasn't the next 100 people that called, it was the next 100 great callers. So if people called and they weren't interesting, they'd go, so could I be in the party? And they'd be like, nah, it wasn't interesting. Click, and then we'd go to the next one. If somebody said something really interesting, we'd go, hey, you know what? You're a good caller. You're number 32. And they'd be like, and we just kept giving away. So we stretched it out. So it took almost like a month to get all 100. And then we had a big listener party at the Space Needle, up the top of the Space Needle, and we did our show from 9 to noon, and we had all these 100 listeners there, and it was just like this fun, appreciation thing, right? So here's what I didn't, I had in my mind, I thought, this is going to be really fun. But see, to these listeners, I had been incognito. They had only heard my voice. They had never seen me. And they created a much more attractive person in their mind. Because when you're listening, you can invent anybody you want, right? And then when you see who it really is, so it was so funny because I was kind of backstage, and then the guy announced, okay, everyone, here it comes, and let's do this show. So I walk out, and of course I was anticipating, just mass cheering, sort of celebrity disclosure, perhaps, I'll have autographs that will ensue or something like that. And so I thought when I walked out, there'd be all this cheering, start the show, yay! I walked out, and there was kind of this big gasp, and then just this disappointment. And everybody was and they were all disappointed, that's not what I was thinking. And in fact, this one guy comes up to me and he goes, man, you're a huge disappointment, man. I was expecting so much more. I thought you'd have longer hair. I didn't realize you'd be this tall. And the whole time he's telling me this, I was thinking to myself, I was thinking you might have teeth too, because the guy had no teeth, And because see, I was speaking to a group of people that were incognito to me, right? I'm just talking to these people. The people are calling on the phone. I never see anybody. So I imagine all people like you, all these beautiful, intelligent people, that would just be so interesting to hang out with. And then I realized on that day when I saw who really listened to this show, this is 9 to noon, this show was. Okay, everybody with a job is not listening to my show. So I had this tremendous, homeless audience, and so, my basic listener was a guy with a radio and a shopping cart with everything he owned in it. That was it. And so I thought, I was kind of disappointed too because I had created, this imaginary listener that wasn't real, right? Well, that's exactly what happened in this case. These people had created this idea of who God would be when he showed up. And he would show up, 6 guns blazing, telling everybody what to do, snapping the whip, had the scrolls under one arm, and he shows up, a baby, born in a barn in Olalla. I'm sorry, Olalla, I just love saying that. I say love. That's kind of the Nazareth, I think, of our area. And then, this is